Hi, everyone. I'm Afton Brazzoni. This is the Changemaker Conversations interview series. I'm thrilled to be here today with Suzy and Trevor Rounce. I've known both of them for quite some time, founders of Switchback Creative, an awesome digital marketing company based in Airdrie. I'm going to hand it right over to them to introduce themselves and just tell you all a little bit about what they do. So thank you so much for being here, Suzy and Trevor.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's super exciting. So yeah, we're Switchback Creative. We're a brand storytelling digital agency. And just like you at Scribe, we definitely value storytelling kind of above all else. And whether that looks through branding, logo development, full, kind of brand guidelines, personality, or whether it's custom website development, that's really kind of our focus. And then making sure it all has that storytelling, experience angle to it to make sure that people really can connect with what it is that you do as a company.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys do that really, really well. Do you want to just talk a little bit about sort of like how you got started before we dive into, really the field of digital marketing?
Yeah, for sure. So
how long do you got?
Always hearing seeing the evolution of people's businesses and kind of how they got started. And Switchback's been around for about 8 years now.
Yeah, almost 8 years now.
Yeah, and really we just knew that we wanted to work together once we, knew we were serious and and gonna last. That it was just something that we knew we had a lot to offer and kind of combine our skills. And Trevor does all the web development and kind of is more the strategic operations type thinker, and I'm more marketing graphic design background. So it was really exciting to be able to combine those two and then to really just dig into what it is that we do best and figure out how we can bring that boutique kind of agency, but still have a really small team and it be really accessible for different size businesses as opposed to it just being large companies. And
yeah, I think what kind of initially attracted us to go down this path was we really wanted to work with business owners and kind of get that instant feedback and I feel like we could really make an impact and a real change and benefit to the fellow business owners in what we do. So yeah, that's kind of the story of why we kind of wanted to go down this path of starting our own business, which was 8 years ago now, which seems crazy, but
yeah. And the name, of course, just came from from hiking and biking. We're hiking and mountain bikers, and yeah, one day when we were doing some hard switchbacks, actually Trevor came up with it, and he's like, "Oh, this is really kind of like the journey businesses go on, and you kind of gradual but always climbing and growing and evolving, and that just seemed like such a good fit as we were trying to think of what our brand and personality."
It's like a metaphor to everybody's trying to reach that peak, and trying to do it on your own is almost like trying to go straight up that mountain. And we were kind of well, we'll be the switchbacks that help businesses get to that peak, get to the top of the mountain. So that's kind of where we came up with it.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's such a rich story. And I mean, really an example for other businesses. I'd encourage everybody who's watching, go check out their website, awesome brand storytelling, even just in that example alone, let alone their portfolio. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I always like to kind of just talk about how people got started. And obviously I've known you guys for a while, so I know, and I think it's, I think it's really interesting. And I mean, amazing. Like you said, 8 years. Wow.
Yeah, time flies.
Time flies, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, this question kind of ties into that because obviously over that course of time, the digital marketing industry has evolved quite a bit. And so probably I would say that, even the challenges that your customers are having, I mean, some could certainly be the same. Some could be different today than they were, a few years back. But what would some of the common things that you see companies running into when it comes to either their brand storytelling or their websites?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a bunch of things, but I think it's just that mostly when it comes to website development, that the quality of entry is pretty high now. With so many people having a digital presence already, it's not just about just throwing something up to have it there. Is people's expectations of what they expect from a website and expect from, kind of just the information they're getting from a company they might work with or service or product they might buy is pretty high. So I think that's something that maybe now more than ever, people are realizing that just, kind of the really basic, like, I need a web presence, but they don't put all that much time and effort into thinking about it, or just thinking that's something they can do way, way, way down the line. I think is something that's become increasingly important for businesses to do a really great job of communicating their story and what they're about. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a great way of putting it from the brand side of things and the storytelling side of things. For me, I really enjoy when we get to work with clients that have kind of a unique technical issue that they're trying to get out there, that they've gone down the path of like maybe WordPress or Squarespace, and they just need something a little bit more custom that'll help increase their sales or help guide their customers along that process. And I think that's the part of the challenge that I really like is, trying to build something that's never been built before to kind of help them solve their solutions or their pinch points that they're having with their website currently.
Yeah, that's
right?
so unique to them,
Yeah.
right? That is individual, and they have certain aspects of their personality or what they do that they could bring out more. And it is a challenge for them that we can, hopefully help solve, or that whatever it is that they're doing, looking for. I mean, people need to find the right people to work with to help solve those problems too.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Like you said, especially as we really just, seem to be more and more in this virtual world, that consumers' expectations are really high, and that your website is, like, I think you've both probably said this before, but that's your impression to make on someone. So yeah, I think that's a very important takeaway for people. And then kind of on that note, like with your ability to make such custom websites that are really true to the customer, what would you say are like 3 things you believe make an excellent website?
It's a good question. It's a hard one though, because it just like anything, it sort of feels like there's like 50 things that make something great. There really is never an easy button, but I guess from my perspective, one of the first things I think about is really that that storytelling angle of making sure that what you're really having come through is what you do for your customer, the problem you solve, and then making sure that your brand, your copywriting, all those things really fit with that story, so that it's really coming through for people. And there's no, you're not just spending the whole time talking about yourself, or not being too obscure, or it's not just like a visual brochure of what it is that you do, that it's really takes people through a journey and shows them what they need to do kind of next to work with you, and why it's so important. Mm-hmm. What's one you would say most important?
From me, again, I'll probably be more technical than Suzy, but for me, it's got to have like a great, well thought out user experience and user interface, just because you could have the best content and the best images and all that stuff on there, but if nobody really knows how to use it, or they get lost in the whole process of getting to where you want them to go, or it just wasn't thought out well enough to help guide your customers through there. That to me is a huge one, is just making sure that experience is there. And with that is always my biggest thing that I always talk about is speed, especially now with everything being online, and people just want that instant information, instant gratification. And I feel like we're moving more and more, especially on the web, of load times or changing pages, and that taking time. You're really going to start seeing people drop off. So to me, making sure your website is technically sound, whether it's on WordPress, Squarespace, whatever, you can always do your best to optimize it and make it really, really crisp and easy for people to use. Because that to me is from what I do, that's a really, really, really important thing. Because
it has to work.
Well, my job is to help deliver that star messaging, that brand for you guys, that you guys create as writers, as photographers, designers. If it doesn't get to anybody or they can't find it, that's a really big problem. So for me, my big thing is, make sure that it's a really well thought out user interface, user design, and that it's optimized to work really, really well. And your load time should be worked on low kind of thing. So
and the third thing that kind of comes to mind is just that you need to clearly outline the problem you solve for your customer, right? Is that it is easy to forget how much you need to spell that out for people and say, I hear you, I see you, I know these are the things you're dealing with. I know that, this could be the negative thing that could happen if you go down this road. This is the amazing thing that could happen if you buy our product or work with us or read more, whatever that is, and just really solving that problem for people, as opposed to just kind of talking about yourself or really talking about the kind of the features and benefits. You really need to outline that you get them, that you are the expert, and that you know what they're going through, and that comes through in all aspects, but especially in the copywriting of it, and kind of the headlines and the amount of content you're sharing with people, making sure that is crystal clear, and what the next step is. Like, again, what's that call to action? Like, so great, you get me, you understand me, now what are you going to do with that information? And obviously if it doesn't work, or if there's not enough personality and story to it, then then a lot of that can really be missed.
Yeah, those are all fantastic tips. And I completely agree that you absolutely need both the technical and the creative side to be nailed down, because otherwise it just doesn't stand up together. So that makes sense for sure. Thanks. Now, this is a fun one. What are some trends that you're seeing in digital marketing when it comes to website development and design?
Yeah, that's an exciting one. Definitely something that we're kind of focusing on more, that we're seeing as a great solution for people is that web app experience. I mean, we're starting to get so integrated with certain expectations of what technology is, and having, not an app in the traditional sense, but a website that sort of feels like an app,
is an app,
performs the same way, but it's still a website, is kind of something we're seeing more and more.
Yeah, I think it goes back again to that, instant gratification, or just people don't want to wait for the content anymore, that transaction anymore. So, there's so much exciting technology that I could talk for hours and hours on all the stuff that's coming out as far as web development. And I really like kind of pushing that and staying in the kind of the leading edge of all that stuff. And more and more, it just feels like your website is going to have that real app-like experience where you click a button and it happens instantaneous. And even just, we've been working on some really kind of cool projects where we've had to create, backends, logins, so people can create accounts, create, profiles, and do their own things and interact with different businesses that way. And it's really exciting because the technology is there now, where before you would almost need to go, downtown Calgary and hire an app development company to kind of get something like that, where now the technology is there on the web, where you can build an app that is part of your website that is just so integrated that you wouldn't even know the difference between the two. So just kind of that kind of technology and this, world of just everything acting and feeling more app-like on any device, any screen size, anything. It just looks like it belongs right there without having to download it from the App Store. It's yours and it's part of your website. That to me is really kind of cool, and it's really neat to see all this new technology start coming out and being more mainstream.
Yeah, and with that too, then with that type of technology, you can have things like text notifications. You can get emails, whether it's email marketing or just email notifications, or here's what's new, and it be done through text messaging or email, that aspect. And that's something that is big in the marketing industry now, but it can be done in a really succinct way. So it's not just about spamming people with as many emails as you can. It's just about giving them the information they want to see and they need, right, in a simple way so that it's easy for them to understand. And that's just becoming more and more accessible for businesses of all sizes. So that's something really exciting. Yeah, that we're super excited about.
Yeah, I love both of those because you're totally right that before, when you think about something like that, it would just seem completely out of reach and not something that the average business could do. So I think that's awesome. So in terms of Switchback Creative, I'd love to hear like what's next for you as you approach your 10th anniversary down the road. I know it's not here yet, but still, what's next for you guys?
That made my heart beat a little faster. I'm like, but you're right, though. That's a good thing to think forward to. I mean, maybe on our 10 years, we should have a big party or something. So after all this, then everybody can, just thank everybody and celebrate. But until then, really, it's a lot that web app experience type thing. We have a couple portfolio items that'll be coming out to share more for that. But that's something that we'd like to kind of help plant the seed because it is kind of a different thing. People think of apps, they think of Facebook or Instagram or something like that, but I mean there's so many other ways you could use something that is a web app for your business that could be a really good fit that really again just takes that story and that experience to another level. So that's something that we want to kind of share more thoughts on or experiences so that people understand how that could work for them and then that's really where we want to kind of go
100%.
No,
you summed it up perfectly. I think just pushing more of that technology and learning more about it and as it comes out more and more and it narrows that gap between what's possible now. Pretty much if you have a business that you're looking for some kind of solution where you need to have profiles and match people or match businesses, like it can be done, right? There's so many so much really neat stuff out there now that it's not that it couldn't have been done in the past. It's just bringing that cost of it is kind of coming down because of all these frameworks and libraries that are coming out and making the development time less and less and a little bit more easier on someone like me rather than taking a year to do it. It only takes a couple months or 4 or 5 months depending on the size of the project, right? So as that kind of those technologies get better and better and more, I'm excited for that kind of experience that people are going to have from websites. And that's kind of where I like pushing and where I hope to see us in 10 years doing much more of it.
And more animation type things too. So I mean, not just built into websites, we kind of do that now and we're hoping to do more and more, but thinking of even when it comes to like comprehensive branding with making sure you have your animated logo along with your regular logo. Maybe you've got like a kind of sizzle reel of something you can share. So again, it kind of goes back to that the level of everything's a lot higher. So not just simple branding doesn't cut it anymore or a simple tagline. You need to have something that you're again that just catches people's attention, is really exciting, has lots of energy, and is just this more comprehensive brand when it comes to both the visual side and kind of the messaging side, and how can you start to tell those stories, whether it is on social media and through a kind of sizzle reel showing what you're doing, or just something that is a little more animated and has more personality tied with it. So that's something that kind of can tie all of them together too, that we're more excited about for sure.
Yeah, I think that interactivity and like immersing someone in the brand is really key. I love that. So I guess, kind of to wrap up, like if you guys have anything else you want to share, or really just before we go, I want to make sure that we talk about, how everybody can reach you, website, social, everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always reach us at switchbackcreative.ca, or if you want to send us an email directly, you can just email us at hello@switchbackcreative.ca, and we're on social media pretty much everywhere.
Our podcast that we're going to be starting up here again soon. We took off like 4 or 5 months over the summer, just really busy. So we just kind of paused it for a bit. But season 2 if you want to call it that. I don't know if that's a thing.
It is. It is now.
It is now. We'll be doing our podcast, and it's all about raising a business. We just chit chat of what we went through, the struggles we had, the mistakes we made, and stuff we use. We talk about everything business stuff, from doing your business taxes to apps that we use to run our business. So hopefully we'll be starting that up in the near future here. And and
it's called Raising a Business. So you can find it on our website too, but you can also look it up on any players, and you'll find it, the Raising a Business podcast. So I think that's really the best way. But we're always happy to answer questions, and it's so great getting to chat with you, and we love getting to work with you always too. So we know we have lots of values in common, and you guys know your storytelling too, and how important that is.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned so much from you guys. And so it's super exciting to have you on, and I'll definitely be tuning in to your podcast when you bring that back. So that's awesome. But thank you both for coming on, and, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll be back next month with another Changemaker Conversations interview. Take care.